So today I'm joined by Rishan Mohamed. He is a founder and CEO of Hiring Coach AI, and he is a two-time startup founder. He previously built the data analytics firm Jumpield after working in management consulting at Google, and he has over a decade of experience in AI, digital strategy, and product innovation. He harnesses technology to develop practical solutions for real world challenges. That's why I invited him to this call because he is very passionate about making a difference. Welcome, Rishan.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mary. It's really wonderful to be here with you. I'm very excited to talk about Hiring Coach today. Hiring Coach is a platform for helping people to present the best version of themselves for every single job application that they are applying to, all the way from resumes through cover letters, LinkedIn, all the way up to interview prep with the help of AI feedback to really help you tailor and communicate the best of who you are to every single one of those job applications. It has been a really amazing journey. I've been building this for about 2 years now. The idea came from early on when AI was first starting to be introduced to the public. I was just really thinking about, well, what are some of the things that AI is really good at? And the couple ideas that popped up were AI is really good at very structured, formal language because AI is trained on so much language. And AI is really good at understanding specific individualized contexts of things. And when I thought about those two things, the natural intersection of that was applying to jobs. Every time you apply to a job, there is a context that is very specific to you and to that job. But there are also these really well-known best practices about what to include on a resume or a cover letter, how you go about practicing for an interview, the certain ways that you talk about yourself, certain kinds of language that you might use, just the ways that you can really bring your best self forward. And all of those are really commonly known, commonly well documented best practices. And AI represents this tool that can so powerfully and individually tailor all of its recommendations and take all of these well-known best practices and layer them onto exactly your situation.
It sounds very exciting. Now, my question is like there are a lot of AI tools, right? The hype is everywhere. AI, we hear about it everywhere. So, what do you believe is the most misunderstood part of using AI in hiring or in a career development? What would you say is that one thing that people should be wary of?
Yeah, I think there is a common misconception that when you're using AI as a candidate applying for jobs, that the AI is really replacing the work that you do. AI is going to write my resume for me. AI is going to write my cover letter for me. In some cases, AI is even, right there giving me answers for my interview. And I just really think that the best way to use AI as you are applying to a job is not to replace the work that you're doing, but to work with AI to bring the best out of you. It's not removing the human element from the job application process, it is enhancing it. AI is a tool that will help you bring out your best stories, that can ask you the questions that you need to hear in order to do the thinking that you need to do in order to figure out what are the things that are most interesting about my background, that are most noteworthy and most important to tell as a part of my story. And so really AI is a tool to be used to help highlight the authenticity in the stories that are told by a candidate.
You shouldn't allow AI to do all the work, right? So you should do some of the work yourself as well.
I think that that's exactly it, right? AI doesn't know you as well as you do. No one does. But in the same way that you might use a career coach to help you figure out the stories, the career coach is not going to be the one writing your resume for you. You are the one writing the resume. The career coach is there to help you figure out what are the best things to put in that resume. And in that same way, which is this tool, career coaches might not be accessible to everyone. AI is accessible to everyone. And that is one of the things I think is so beautiful about this is that it really democratizes this access to this world-class tool that is so specific to you, and just really allows you to work with it to bring the best out of you.
Sounds very wonderful. So now job seekers are overwhelmed by AI. Obviously, there are a lot of AI tools, the job boards are everywhere. So what's one thing that they should focus on to stay human and to stand out? Because looks like your all our answers would be the same because we are using ChatGPT or a similar AI tool. So how do you stay human?
Yeah, I think that being human and being authentic is such a core part of the entire process of applying to these jobs. And I think the best way to stay human is to really have a strong understanding of what your story is and how you want to tell it. No one knows your story better than you do. No other person, no AI, no algorithm knows your story in the same way that you do. And that's why it's so important to continue as you're working with AI to work with AI, and have AI be the one that is helping you to pull out that story. But at the end of the day, the best way to stay grounded in all of this is to remember that 10 different tools can tell you 10 different things. But at the end of the day, you know your story better than anyone. And being grounded in that story is really going to help prevent that overwhelm that you might feel from the so many options that are out there.
That's a good point. So now, we have spoken, a couple of times, and I know that you have worked in the public sector, big tech, and startups. So what's one thing that's consistent, like a skill or a mindset that has helped you to thrive in all those different roles?
Yeah, this is a really wonderful question. I think that having a user-centered mindset is something that is broadly applicable no matter what context you are working in. Having a deep empathy for the people that you are serving, really putting yourselves in the shoes of the people that you're trying to help, deeply understanding what are the problems that they are facing, why are they facing those problems before you even touch an idea about how to solve those problems. Having that really deep understanding can really help accelerate the process of coming up with those solutions and really help guide those solutions in a way that is much more focused at actually solving a real problem that exists, as opposed to one that might be perceived to exist or that you might think exists but doesn't actually exist for the user on the other end of this.
That's actually the point. We might be trying to solve a problem that doesn't even exist, and we waste all our energy there. So, what do you believe is the next big shift in terms of how people get hired, and how should we be preparing for that, for the future?
I think what we are seeing now is a democratizing of access to education and to knowledge in a way that the world has never, ever seen before. And I think in the past, as we have used things like the brand names of schools or companies that we've worked at or what have you as markers of that knowledge, as heuristics for that knowledge, as shortcuts to understanding what someone is capable of. Now that everyone has access to all of the world's knowledge, I think what we're going to be finding is a job world that is much more focused specifically on skills based and skills experience. And so moving from a place of really coming up with this a resume of these highlight institutions towards a place of here are the specific hard skills that I have developed. Here are the experiences I have with these specific skills is going to become much, much, much more relevant as we're moving into this world where anyone really has access to anything.
I think the world has definitely changed. Things are moving so fast. I remember that day we heard about ChatGPT, and look at where
Mhm.
we are now. Now you can get lost in the process, right? So, how can someone using AI, I think we touched on this earlier, but how can someone who uses AI can enhance their career journey without losing their voice or personal story? Earlier, you said that nobody can tell your story like you do. So, is there any other tip that you can add, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it is really important to remember that no one else can tell your story like you do. And this work cannot be outsourced to AI. The best way that I like to think about this is not thinking of AI as the pilot, but thinking of AI as the co-pilot. And I'm the pilot in this. I'm the one that is directing this. AI is here as a tool to help me to figure out the best of myself. It is a partner in brainstorming with me. It is a partner in challenging me to rethink my own assumptions. It is a partner in asking me the questions that I haven't even thought about to help understand what is a fuller context of what I'm looking at. But ultimately, it is a tool, it is a partner that will help me bring out the best in me.
Now, earlier, we talked about having soft skills, and something that I talk about on TikTok. I've got this channel called RemoteMary. So I always say that people always talk about they will help you how to revamp your CV or optimize your
Mhm.
LinkedIn profile for you, but we don't talk about soft skills, having skills
Yeah.
such as communication, having empathy, and then being adaptable. So what role do you think those soft skills play in a tech-driven world where AI is now, literally controlling the world, if I may put it that way?
AI is so integrated in so many different parts of the world. Even if we're just looking at the part of the world that involves people getting jobs, AI is so deeply integrated on the candidate side and so deeply integrated on the recruiter side. And I think that while AI it can help a lot with crafting some of those documents, with helping craft a beautiful resume and helping craft a beautiful cover letter and helping craft a perfect message. At the end of the day, none of those things are going to get you the job. They might help you get to the interview. They might help you get to the human on the other end of the table. But those things in and of themselves are not what's getting you the job. What's getting you the job is being who you are, being your most authentic self, communicating what your skills are and what you're bringing to the table, and how you are going to contribute to the mission and the goals of the organization that you're looking to join. And that is where these soft skills become so crucial. Because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you're talking to another human, and that's a human that wants to hire a person that they want to work with. And that's why things like having strong communication skills, being deeply empathetic, being someone that they want to work with, those are really what are going to set you apart once you've gotten to that place of having met with the person that's on the other side of the table.
That's a good point. I was watching a YouTube video last week, and this guy was saying, people will always remember how you made them feel. And that
Yeah.
principle applies even in an interview setting where somebody's interviewing you. They might be impressed with your CV and everything you bring to the table, but
Hmm.
it's how you communicate and you portray yourself that's very important because they will remember you. You have been a manager, you have led different teams, diverse teams. So, what's one thing you believe every manager needs to learn if they want to unlock people's full potential?
I'll flip this question around and not necessarily say something that they need to unlearn, but something that I think every manager should learn is
Right.
that it is not your team that is working for you. It is you that is working for your team. You are the one serving your team. It is your role as the manager to remove any impediments that your team has to unlocking their full potential. It is your job as the manager to make sure that they have all of the tools that are necessary for them to succeed, all of the knowledge and training that is necessary for them to succeed, and removing any of the roadblocks that are necessary for them to succeed. That is how you empower a team to be moving on all cylinders. The
Mm,
second thing that really comes to mind is about this idea that I think there's a sense that when someone is in a position of authority or power, that they have to have this perfect dynamic where they everything is just sort of perfectly crafted and there are no cracks in the armor at all. And I think that that does us a disservice as managers trying to lead a team where authenticity really matters, where building relationships with people really matter, and no one is perfect. I think we all have that understanding. And so being able to let the guard down a little bit, to be vulnerable with your team, to be authentic with them in sharing with them things that are personal challenges, struggles that you might be facing, um, you know, giving them an understanding that you are also a human that is just navigating this world every day like they are, helps to really build those bonds of trust between you and your team. And the teams that are going to succeed the most are going to be the ones that have that very, very high level of trust and communication between each other.
Actually, this is very good. I think a lot of people who are managing teams will definitely find this really helpful and insightful. Now, one of the other things that I want to mention or ask you is that the job searching process these days, it's really tiring, you know. A lot of people have lost their jobs, their positions have become redundant, right? So how do you stay resilient and confident when you are going through something like that?
Job searching is really, really hard. It's very hard. And I can tell you all day long not to take every one of those rejections personally, and it's not going to matter because they are still going to feel personal. Every single one of them is going to feel personal. And you can know and understand completely and fully in a logical way that this rejection is not personal and still feel that it is personal. That is just inevitably going to happen. It's part of human nature. And so, in as much as I can tell you, don't take it personally, know that that is always there. And it is okay to understand that logically while still validating your feelings that it feels personal. But knowing that it is hard to not take those things personally, the next step is to really make sure that you have a strong network around you to help build up your resilience. When I say network, I'm talking about friends and family, mentors, people that you can really be yourself with, people that you can freely communicate how hard of a process this is. Job hunting can be so isolating for so many reasons, societal and personal. There is sometimes shame that comes along with the idea of looking for a job. There is the constant state of rejection that you have, or getting ghosted by these companies that just don't get back to you at all. And, job hunting by its nature, it feels very isolating. It can feel very isolating, and it absolutely does not need to be that way. Almost universally, people have the experience of what it means to look for a job. They know what that struggle is. They have been through that struggle themselves. And so, being able to be open and authentic with yourself and with others, and to find those people that can be your community in this moment where you really need it or where you can really benefit from it, that is what is really going to help you through this process of an indeterminate amount of time, and that is really going to be pretty difficult along the way until you get to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen on LinkedIn, I see the support. You know, there are sometimes thousands of people commenting on a post where people share their story, how they've lost their
Mhm.
job and how hard it is. So it's beautiful to see that people coming together to help each other. That makes a huge difference.
One other thought I wanted to add to that is that I think people can sometimes be hesitant to ask other people for help, right? We don't want to be a burden on other people. There's some pride in doing things ourselves, and I think something that's really important to remember is that people really like helping other people. Think about the last time that someone came and asked you for help. Someone that you knew, that you trusted, how did that make you feel, right? I think in a lot of ways, it helps you. It is not only is it not a burden to try and help this person, but in many ways it can help you feel more connected to this person. And so I would encourage people to reframe how they think about asking other people for help as giving other people an opportunity to be helpful to you, and giving other people an opportunity to really strengthen the bond that the two of you have with each other.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask you the last question, but I think a lot of people would like to know. So, what would be some of the AI tools that people can use if they are either looking for a job or they are pivoting or they are looking for something else? So, what AI tools, it might sound random, but what AI tools can they use or what AI tools do you recommend?
Yeah, well, I would say first and foremost, beyond any specific tool that you're going to use, I think the most important thing is to adopt an AI first mindset. What that means is that AI is such an all encompassing, very powerful tool that it can help you at every step of this journey. Whether that is figuring out what am I good at, AI can help you do that. Whether it's figuring out what am I really passionate about, that's something that feels so personal, like no one else could help me with that. And still, there is an avenue for AI to work with you as a thought partner for being able to pull out those insights from you, to be able to help you understand yourself better than if you were just doing this in isolation. And when we're moving more into the world of the nuts and bolts of these applications, right, there are so many ways that you can think of to use AI to help you in crafting that story, in crafting those bullet points, in doing that interview practice, in really any question that you have that you would take to a mentor, that you would take to a friend, that you would take to a therapist, that you would take to a peer. AI is another potential avenue for you to take those questions that is available to you immediately, that you can give any role or persona to so that it can embody the person or the entity that you're trying to interact with. And you have it right there at your fingertips. And so having that AI first mindset can really accelerate how you are going through this process and how you're preparing to go through this process.
Sometimes it can be hard, right? For some people, the change. Sometimes we
Yeah.
like stuck in the past, and whenever you're trying to use AI, you find somebody says to you, "Oh, I can see you used AI to write this post." It's like
Yep.
you now you must feel guilty for doing that. So how do we change that? Because that mindset of we are now still stuck. Not all of us, but some people are stuck. So how do you do that? How do you change that?
There are two parts to this question. Really, there is the part of shifting to the AI first mindset. I think in many ways, it's not natural to think at very as the very first thought, can AI help me with this? But I think as you try it on, as you just play around with it, you'll come to understand that there are so many situations in which AI can really help with this development. It's just like any other skill. The more you practice with it, the more second nature it becomes, and the more adept you become at it. AI is also one of those tools where you can read about it and watch videos about it and listen to podcasts about it all you want, but you're not going to understand it until you really dive into it yourself.
Yeah.
It's just like going to the gym, right? You can read all you want about what it means to get fit, but if you're not actually in the gym, it's not helping you at all. You got to really put in the reps. You got to put in the time to actually use these tools so that you can get better at them. And I know that it can be intimidating to start with these tools, and that is one of those things that I absolutely recognize. And also, there is no risk in doing it. There's no harm in trying it out. You're not going to break the tool. You're not going to come to some crazy conclusion that's going to break something in any way. And so, just trying it out, opening up the AI tool and giving it a go can really help get over some of that initial apprehension. To
Yeah.
your question, Mary, about sort of the stigma around seeing it and sort of seeing ways in which it is very clear that someone has used AI in order to produce something. This is where I think it becomes really important to remember that AI is the co-pilot. AI is the thought partner, but at the end of the day, you are the one that is flying the plane. You are the one that is making the decisions, and ultimately, you are the one that is producing this end result. And so, when you are seeing something that is online and that you know for a fact has been written as AI, but is passed off as someone's own work or own thoughts, that is an area, an opportunity where that person had to put more of themselves into the end product that they are creating. And so I would encourage people as they are using AI to remember to use it as a partner, but not a replacement, and to make sure that anything that you're putting out there that is meant to represent who you are needs to really be coming from you and your own voice. AI can be a great starting point, but it's not the end point. You are the end point.
Wow, that's beautiful. So basically, we're saying do not build your personal brand like using AI, only using AI, then you won't have any personal brand. It's AI that's building it for you. But one thing I can tell you is once you start using AI, then there's no turning back. There's no going back because it's really helpful, right? It's really helpful. It saves a lot of time and different creative ideas. So yeah, we encourage everyone to try it. The other thing I want to ask you before I forget is with hiring coach. So what's the feedback been with people who have used it? Have you received any feedback? And then has it changed lives? Maybe that's too soon because it's still new. So tell me a bit more about hiring coach and what's the journey like.
And I'll tell you, one of the most gratifying things about building Hiring Coach is hearing the stories literally every day from people who have been using Hiring Coach and have told me, I've gotten a job today. I've gotten my first offer today. I crushed that interview that I did yesterday. It's made it so much easier to apply to these jobs. I feel less exhausted going through this process. I feel less lost going through this process. And being able to hear those real world stories, that real impact that this is having on users of the product is so gratifying as someone who is really trying to build this product to make people's lives easier and to help them through what is a really difficult transition in many of our lives. What I love about Hiring Coach is that it really does help you through the entire process. With Hiring Coach, you can improve your resume. With Hiring Coach, you can improve the resume bullets on your resume and formatting and make sure that it actually gets seen by someone on the other end of the table. You are writing cover letters that are very personal to you, that you have a very strong hand in crafting, but AI is really there as a starting place to help give you ideas around it. You
Mm,
can use it to do interview prep. Interview prep is one of the hardest parts of this process because it's scary to say things out loud. It is uncomfortable to speak words out into the universe. It is uncomfortable to ask someone to be your interview prep partner. But with Hiring Coach, you can practice all of any question you want on demand, tailored to the job that you are applying to, tailored to your resume, and getting point by point feedback and a very in depth score about how you did on every single one of those interview questions without having to involve anyone else and being able to just do it in the privacy of your own space. And
mm.
having that access to something that is immediate gives you that immediate boost, that immediate feedback. I think that is what really differentiates using a tool like Hiring Coach and being able to integrate AI as part of this whole process.
Yes, I think you've given me access, so I uploaded my resume and I was really impressed. What I really liked is it's not just your resume,
Mm.
it will give you some tips on how to improve it, but the actual preparation for interviews, like you mentioned earlier, I think that's really helpful because a lot of people struggle when it comes to an interview, right? You go there, you ask the question and you don't know what to say. And then
Yep.
also you get scared sometimes because being in front of people, especially if you have five people in front of you, it can be very daunting. So having that tool to help you prepare, it really makes a huge difference. So I had a very good experience with it. So I want to say to you, well done. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marian. I'm so happy to hear that. It's much easier to get through all of those word stumbles and ums and all of the other stumbling blocks that you might have in answering an interview question when you're doing it beforehand rather than when you're doing it real time at the actual interview. And so, yeah, I fully encourage people to spend that time doing that preparation. I think it really, really helps. And I'll also point out one of my favorite features. We talked about how difficult this can be mentally for you going through this whole process and hearing no after no or hearing nothing at all. So one of my favorite features in the tool is the pep talk feature, which before you're going into an interview, if you just need that little boost, it is a pep talk that is short. It's 1 to 2 minutes, and it just tells you 3 reasons why you are so great for this job. And I've heard from so many people how even just that 1 to 2 minutes of just having a little boost can really give them that extra confidence that they needed before going into an interview.
Wow, I think you've really used, because this reflects your personality. You really want to help people. You've built a tool and it comes from a place of care, which is rare to find because you really want to make a difference. I think that's why it's very different. So well done on that one. Thank you so much, Rishan. I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me. And then I hope that it will help a lot of people and they can try it out because you have given me a code, a discount code, which I'll link in the description. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's wonderful to speak with you. I love what you're doing to bring this knowledge and these skills to this community. I think it's a beautiful thing that you're building here, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.